5. The leaping of barrels can be divided into 3 areas: the takeoff, the flight, and the landing, much like the broad jump or long jump in track and field. The jump is from 2.5 feet in front of the barrels, the takeoff line, and the jump is measured from that line to the rear of the skate. And now for Canada, here we go with the opening jumper, circling the arena to build up his speed. He is Andre Dalpe Jr., 22-year-old from St. Bruno. Up and he makes it. 14 barrels, approximately 23 feet. And Dalpe's jump will be measured by the officials 24 feet, 8 1/2 inches. Now, leading off for the United States from Detroit, Timmy Sipes. All these men, daredevils, of course. Oops. They have to be, but the barrels, as we look once again at Tim Sipes, give way. They're made of fiberboard. The sport is hard enough without presenting them with firm, hard barrels. The ice itself is hard enough, and they meet up with that often enough. For Canada, number 3, Mario Mott from Blainville. He's 20 years old. His best is 14 barrels, and he equals his previous best record. Mario Mott makes 14 barrels. And skating over toward his coach, Georges Collier, and they're happy because the distance has just been announced, as well as the 14. Let's look at Mario clearing 23 feet, 1 1/4 inches. So he will move on to the next obstacle, the 15th barrel, but first we have to see how the others do. And here is the grand old man of barrel jumping, Neil Blatchford, Deerfield, Illinois. How has he lasted this long? 34 years of age, twice an Olympic speed skater for the United States. Neil Blatchford I don't think so. I don't think that will be allowed. He grazed the 14th barrel, and let's look at it, but I believe we'll see Blatchford nearly, but see it jiggle? See the 14th barrel jiggle? No jump. A miss for Neil Blatchford, who has cleared 15 barrels. Now the stylish Canadian, Canada in red, Pierre Bernier, 26-year-old, student at Quebec University, and easily, Pierre Bernier with his free-flowing style. So Pierre is over the 14th barrel, and let's look at how he does it so effortlessly with a leap of 26 feet, 5 1/4 inches, gliding into the mattresses, relaxed. And here to present the trophies today, Miss USA of 1979, Marie-Therese Friel. United States, Danny Meek, a man who broke a leg 2 years ago in barrel jumping, comes from Flint, Michigan. Oh, that didn't feel good at all. I think Danny is hurt. You know, these fellows have the crash helmets, padding, the mattresses to fall into, but as we see why Danny didn't extend enough, we see how he goes down. The ice itself is just as hard and unforgiving as it was in Hans Brinker's day. So no matter how much they try to protect themselves, they're still flying through the air and landing on a surface as hard as concrete. Danny Meek being helped to the dressing room. It's warmer in there. He's going to be examined. As we look now at the next Canadian, Louis Milor. He's 20, comes from St. Bruno. He has done 15 barrels, getting up that speed to 40 miles an hour and can rise as high as 50 miles an hour in clearing the barrels. Louis Milor has made it for Canada. And the distance, 23 feet, 2 1/4 inches. Moving on to Benny Sipes, who has done 15 barrels. He's 24 years old. The older of the two Sipes brothers on the American team. Benny Sipes! What a margin Benny had. He's the Michigan champion. 6-footer. Benny Sipes had no problem in spanning 24 feet, 10 1/2 inches. Now the defending champion, individual champion, Yvan Jolin Jr. from Ville d'Anjou in Quebec. Only 21 to take off, and a bit of difficulty in flight, but he made it. Jolin, who last year cleared 16 barrels, has gone over the 14th. The jump measured at 23 feet, 6 1/2 inches. Here's the man whose name typifies the sport, Gary Gibson, but they call him Crash. Crash Gibson, who has broken so many bones in his body in jumping and bicycle racing. Like that. Ugh. Landing on his tailbone, crunching his ribs. Crash Gibson. Crashing as usual. And although he made it, let's try to find where he... on his coccyx. The distance for Crash Gibson, 22 feet 2 inches. He has his 14th barrel, but will he be able to continue? I wonder.
Rodeo cowboy, never settling down. Don't you ever get lonesome from your traveling around.
When the day's work is done and the competition was a little rough, it's good to get back to some easy riding and a friend.
That's what friendly skies are all about.
I spent the whole day on my feet.
I wish I could see that.
Spread your wings, fly away. Nothing's all that far. Follow the sunshine.
Got 3 fingers.
Reach for a star.
What was that bull's name? Bad Medicine. And he was.
There's friendship on high, where the eagle dares to fly.
Friend, that's the nicest ride I've had in a long time.
By the friendly sky. Rodeo cowboy, there you go once again. But I know you'll be back riding high with a friend.
Volkswagen introduces exciting news about the 1981 Rabbit. New improved seats for a smoother, more comfortable ride. It has a new, bigger engine for more highway passing power, yet it gets even better mileage. New look inside and out, back and front.
Wait a minute, it's still basically a Rabbit, isn't it?
That's the best news of all.
Volkswagen does it again.
This is Marv Albert with a holiday thought for those after Christmas gift tryouts. Here's Greg Lewis and Dick Enberg.
This is a ski boot. Boy, it sure is heavy. I'm glad we're skiing, not swimming. Well, you may wish you were swimming by the time we get done, Dick. You sure you need skis on the bottom of these? With my size 13s, I think I can get the job done right now. Oh, you Hey, this really is easy. Oh, I can tell. You're going to be an expert very soon, Dick. All right, now, let's sidestep up the hill. Skis perpendicular to the fall line. Short little step. I think I've got it. I think I'm catching on. What is your rate per hour? Okay, come on down now. How about that snowcat? Where are the brakes on these things? Okay, Dick, let's do the kick turn. Lift your ski up, place it on the heel, and then turn it sideways down. Oh, you're heavy, Dick. Follow me now. Go down the hill, then do the snowplow. Here I come. Ah! Oh, Dick, for another $50, we will do lesson number 2.
Well, it only hurts when you have to pay. There's still a lot more to come on Sports World as barrels and bodies on ice at the International Barrel Jumping Classic. Strength, agility, and the ancient ceremonies of the honored masters at the Japan Special Sumo Wrestling. Also, Spike Thomas
as sumo wrestling. This is the Kokogikan. It's the arena in Tokyo in which the great sumo tournaments are held. Had you visited a sumo bout 200 years ago, with the exception of the modern building that surrounds it, the ring has remained essentially unchanged. If you've seen sumo wrestling on Sports World before, you're going to be delighted once again. But if this is your first visit with the national sport of Japan, don't mistake these fighters for fat men slapping at one another. They're skilled, agile fighters who are capable of tossing their opponent out of the ring in a second's notice. They are the combination of the size of a lineman for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the agility and speed of a good racquetball player. The Crown Prince of Japan and his family, part of the full house crowd here today for sumo wrestling. Now, a victory is simply scored by either tossing your opponent out of the ring or tossing him to the ground. If any part of his body other than the sole of his foot touches the ground, then the other man wins. Here is Mitsurayama. Mitsurayama is 7-5 in this tournament so far, and he will be facing a giant of a man, Jesse Kahualua. He fights under the name Takamiyana. There's the giant Jesse as they go into their squat. And this is a very important time in the match. It's a time in which they put on their fighter's face and they try and psych the other guy into a little bit of fear. Now you can see that Jesse is just an unbelievably large man. He weighs in well over 400 pounds. But don't let that deceive you. Jesse is really known for a fast off-the-line attack. Mitsurayama, of course, is well aware of that, and there he uses it to his advantage. Mitsurayama simply sidesteps Jesse. Jesse goes down, and that quickly, the match is over. Mitsurayama squats down now to accept his prize, offered to him by the referee. Let's look at the match once again. Jesse comes off the line quickly. Mitsurayama steps to his right, throws Jesse beyond him, makes sure he goes to the ground, maintains his own balance, and Mitsurayama wins their first meeting between these two men. So that will bring up Tojo Kaji and Koto Kasai. They are both 9-3 in this tournament, and both men have fought one another 4 times, each man winning twice, so it should be fairly evenly matched. There you see both of them together as they go through the ceremony that is required before each bout. It is not only ceremony, but there's a great deal to be said for the flexibility exercise in these squats and stomps that they do, though the Japanese originally believed that the stamping was to chase the evil spirits away from the ring. The Japanese call it the doyo. So here is Tojo Kaji as he begins to psychologically prepare himself. Look at the stare that he develops on his face as both men, mentally as well as physically, prepare themselves, and they will several times go to their crouch and then come back up to a stand and return to their corner. There's Koto Kasai. He stares down his opponent, walks back to his corner. In the olden days of sumo, this part of the fight could have gone on endlessly. There was no time limit. Now there is a time limit. It is a 3-minute limit, and then they must take the line and fight. They've also thrown salt out onto the ring. That is to purify the doyo against evil spirits. Tojo Kaji on the right side of the screen, Koto Kasai on the left. Both men in position now. The referee signals that they are ready, and they can charge at any second now. The fight's begun. Koto Kasai trying to get a tight grip on Tojo Kaji's hilt. And he picks him up and actually picks him up over the edge and out of the ring. So Koto Kasai has won. And he is now 10-3 for the tournament. referee kneels before him and is handing him his payment in victory for that match.
And now for more international.
No bonus babies. Nobody gets rich. Blatchford and Meek out for the United States. Dalpe, Sipes, Matt, and Millard have missed their first jump now. And here's Pierre Bernier going for his 15th barrel. This is his last attempt. No. He sat down on the last barrel, and Bernier is out. Now Benny Sipes from Detroit. Two Sipes brothers. This is the older, Benny. First try at 15 barrels. Easily. Benny Sipes. Wow. And the curator of statistics, as we look at Benny Sipes once again, the curator, Lou Goldstein, will give us that jump. Here it is, 25 feet, 1 3/4 inches. Bear in mind, the world record is 28 feet, 8 inches by Kenny LaBelle when he cleared 17 barrels in 1965. Now, Yvon Jolin Jr. He won it last year. His father was a barrel jumper. When his father died a few years ago, Yvon, who had never skated until then, 1973, said, "I'll take over," where Papa left off. Last year, he won it with 16 barrels. Now he goes for 15. Jolin. Oh, a sit-down strike on the 15th barrel. A reprise. Yvon Jolin. Now, resting easily, but failing at 15. I wondered if Crash Gibson would be back. He is back. And Crash going for 15 barrels. Gary Gibson. Failing on the... Gary! Crash Gibson tries it on one of our cameras. Well, that's one way to do a close-up crash. He's from Northbrook, Illinois. And he is out. Crash, the welder, could not glue himself together. He's out. There are two men remaining now from each team, Canada and the United States. The United States down to the brothers Sipe from Detroit, Tim and Benny. But here is the Canadian, Andre Dalpe, 15th barrel, and this is his final shot at it. Dalpe, gathering speed. His last rush, perhaps. Allez! Yell his French-Canadian style. Au revoir to Andre Dalpe. He's finished. The competition down to 3 men. 1 Canadian, Jolin. 2 Americans, Benny and Tim Sipes, the brothers. Here's Timmy. 6 feet, 7 inches. A student of architectural drafting. And only one person has soared beyond 15. Benny Sipes. This is Timmy Sipes. Well, the drafting student must go back to the drawing board. Timmy Sipes is out. And 1 American, Benny Sipes, who has already made 15 barrels. And this man, Canadian Yvon Jolin Jr. His last attempt. The last of the Canadians. If he makes his 15th barrel, he can keep up with Benny Sipes. But if he misses, he loses his individual title, and it goes to Benny Sipes. And so, thinking he must get speed, he must get height. Jolin! Jolin has dethroned himself. This is our last look at Yvon Jolin, and Benny Sipes wins the individual competition, but Benny wants more. He wants more than 15 barrels. He wants 16, 17. Give me more of Sipes, and we will. Benny Sipes remains. He has cleared 15 barrels, and now he goes for 16. Never before has Benny made it over 16 barrels. For him, this is the barrel barrier. Benny Sipes was a serviceman for a heating firm in Detroit. And here's looking at you, kid. 16 barrels. No. He's not through, however.
Maybe,
Well, ice is slippery. There has to be more than that.
The edge under skates might have lost it, hit a little dirt or something like that. It's hard to say. My edge held up good. I didn't have any trouble.
The temperature's a little higher here than usual at Grossinger's. Has that been a problem, softer ice?
No, I think it's nice and easier to stay warm.
So Benny Sipes, who is one of the last athletes without an agent, collects the princely sum of $300. He spoke of warmth. Well, here's some for Benny. Perhaps an inspirational touch by Marie-Therese Friel, Miss USA of 1979, to send Benny on his way toward his last attempt at 16 barrels. Benny Sipes has never been there. He has shot beyond 15 barrels twice in his career, once today to win the competition. However, Canada has won the team title. All 5 Canadians cleared 14 barrels, while only 3 Americans cleared 14. And so in the scoring, Canada wins the team title, and they are on a record streak of 2 consecutive victories in the International Barrel Jumping Classic. So we appreciate the work of the referee, Gilles Leclerc, who runs his own barrel jumping school in Quebec. If you want to become a barrel jumper, that apparently is the place, perhaps the only place, to train for this most unusual sport, this aged sport, begun, it's believed, centuries ago in the Netherlands, perhaps by a fellow named Rembrandt, jumping over paint barrels. So, Benny Sipes, get it going. They don't do it 1 barrel at a time in this sport. It's every barrel, 16 of them, count them. Benny Sipes into the beyond for him. Benny Sipes, the takeoff will be only perfect.